All right. Shalom, shalom. This is Kingdom of Judah, KOJ, on YouTube, the Club of New Jerusalem, Claim Your Inheritance. It's Amaziah Yahwadah on Facebook. We got the brother Ratazala with us as well. And hold on, you want to go ahead and give a shout out to Ratazah?
Oh yeah, Khan. Shalom out of Akim out there.
It's a little bit hard to hear you as well, brother.
My fault. All praise to the Most High. Shalom to everybody out there.
Yeah, most definitely. We want to give all praise to Yahuwah Ba'Shem Yahuwah and Baruch Atam to all the Akim out there, Yasharala. Okay, tonight we're going to be talking about Kung Fu in the Bible. Basically getting into taking an examination of the internal martial arts and possible parallels with the scriptures. All right, just to give y'all a little bit of background where I'm coming from. You know, I took Taekwondo when I was younger. You know, in middle school, trained in classes with Kendo. For those of y'all who don't know, that's the sword fighting art that came from the samurai, as well as I've independently studied martial arts all my life. So basically, when I was coming up, if I wasn't reading the Bible, I was reading books on martial arts. And when I was about 12, I started studying in metaphysics and, like I said, internal martial arts when dealing with chi and internal energy and things of that nature. So at that time, from my Christian perspective, you know, at first I believed that basically it was a piece that was missing from the scriptures, and what I was doing was just fine. As I got older, I was told by church people that those things were wrong. So basically, when it comes to chi and internal energy, right, the way I look at it is something that's natural, okay, and I'm gonna give y'all some scriptures to show that as well. So when I look at it, I end up thinking, well, it's natural, it flows, but maybe I'm not supposed to be willing it. Maybe I'm not supposed to manipulate that chi or that flow. Okay, so but now where I'm at now and where I stand now, and the reason why I'm trying to evaluate these things is because of the fact that I feel like I don't see a lot of how do you say, the things that we were promised through the Ruach Kodesh, right? The things of this Holy Spirit, I'm not really seeing it from anybody. I don't know. I'm not seeing it from anybody at all. Okay, let me pull a scripture on that as well right quick. What about you? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I ain't as learned as you are in it, but I've ran in people who taught me various things, and those things seem to stick. So, as for instance, like your demeanor, your stance, even in that, the scriptures tell you a person is known in their continence, you know what I mean, how they carry themselves, and that goes to tell a lot about your spirit. You're supposed to have a disciplined spirit and be able to control your flesh. That's basically what it's about,
And then let's see, let's get John 14 and 12 and pull it up on the screen so everybody can see it. And this is what I'm talking about, and this is basically what it kind of boils down to in a little summary, is that I feel like we should be performing miracles and doing these healings, but I don't see anybody teaching on it. I don't see anybody trying to figure it out. So what we're trying to do is get together and try to figure this thing out. And so John 14 and 12 states, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works that I do shall he do also, and greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto my Father." Okay, so Hamashiach is telling us that we're going to be doing greater works than he did. So what are the works that Hamashiach did? Not only did he teach and edify the people, but he also was healing people. He was causing the blind to see, causing the deaf to hear, okay, the dumb to speak. You know, he raised men from the dead. Okay, he raised himself from the dead. So I just don't see that happening. So I feel like we need to really figure out what we can do to change that. Okay. Now, one thing that I've learned from the scriptures is that it's not exactly what you're using, but how you use it. Like when it comes to meditation and things of that nature, right? Before that, I'm gonna give an example right quick here. Okay, so in Genesis 1:14 it says, "And Yahuwah said, Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years." Okay, so when we jump over to Deuteronomy 18:10, it says, "There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that uses divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch." Okay, so right there when it says observer of times, okay, but over here it says that we're giving the sun and the moon and the lights of the heaven for signs and seasons and for days and for years. Okay, so we are supposed to observe our days and our feasts and our appointed times, the moed, the seasons in the Hebrew, right? We're supposed to observe those by the things of heaven, but we're not supposed to be dealing with, like zodiac signs and things of that nature. Okay. I
Yeah,
want to
tell me my life path.
get exactly. I want to get a key verse out right here that goes into the internal martial arts and what has always caught my attention. Okay, is John 4:14. Let's start at John 4:13. All right, it says, "Yahushua answered and said unto her, Whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst, but the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life." Now, why I find that interesting is that in the internal martial arts, we have what's called the Tantien. Now, if you look up Tantien, right, definition, you can find this in any book when it comes to the Tantien, right? This is what you'll see. Uh, is loosely translated as elixir field, sea of chi, or simply energy center, right? But the true definition in Chinese is this right here, and that's what's key, is this the sea of chi. So the ancient Chinese had a idea, or basically a concept, that your stomach area, right, is which is where the Tantien is located, was the sea of chi. Okay, so going back to that scripture, okay, "But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst, but the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life." Okay, then when we go to John chapter 7, we're going to see a similar parallel. Let's go to John 7:38. Okay, John 7:38 states, "He that believeth on me, as the scripture has said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water." Okay, so what exactly is that living water that Hamashiach repeats and talks about, right? So in John 7:39 says, "But this spake he of the Spirit, or the Ruach, which they that believe on him should receive. For the Ruach Kodesh was not yet given, because that Yahushua was not yet glorified." So how do we actually obtain this? You know what I mean? You following me up?
Con, I'm right there with you.
Con. So then I'm going to go to 1 Corinthians 6:19. Let's get the King James. It says, "What, know ye not that your body is the temple of the Ruach Kodesh, which is in you, which ye have of Yahuwah, and ye are not your own?" So if our bodies are the temple of the Ruach Kodesh, we have to be able to cultivate our bodies and take care of our bodies in a way that would make him want to inhabit that house. You know what I mean? Like you want the Ruach
Con.
Kodesh to be
And
living in the projects. You know what I'm saying?
that's right. And that was like you gotta treat it like a sanctuary, like that temple, that holy temple. You know what I mean?
Con, most definitely. So I want to go through some of these. I'm gonna read. This is the book. I'm gonna read some little passages out of here, and this is a book I'm gonna be focusing on and studying. It's basically, I was telling you before, rehashing a lot of things that I've already learned. So it's bringing a lot of things back to memory. I've read other books like a book called Qigong by Lee Chung Quinn, and How to Develop Chi Power, which is by William Chung, which was the initial teacher of Bruce Lee. Uh, William Chung learned under Ip Man, and he initially taught Bruce Lee when he first started. Ip Man was pretty old. Um, William Chung, his kung fu art is Wing Chun, which is an internal martial art, along with Tai Chi and Qi Gong as well. And this book right here is about Tan Tien Qi Gong, right? And basically about strengthening your Tan Tien or your Sea of Qi, right? So I'm gonna show something interesting in the. Okay, let's see. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna have to put up the fair use act real quick. I'll have to edit it out and show it later. I'll just edit the video and put it at the beginning of the video. But definitely got to use that.
Con. Hey, I just wanted to point out. I don't know if you watch Bleach. Have you ever watched Bleach? Bleach.
Oh, most definitely, man. I was into it for a while, man, when it first came out.
Kind. What had made me think about it was they had like a hole in their abdomen. They called them hollows, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they had like holes in their abdomen for some odd reason. I ain't never know why.
Yeah, I remember that, man. Basically saying that they didn't have that good positive chi they're supposed to have. Right. So here's the fair use act. You know what I mean? Everything we're using is under the fair use act. We're not trying to make no money or plagiarize nothing or do anything off copyright infringement. So just so you two can see this shit before I show that book. Now, this is the author, Montauk Chia. Y'all can easily look this book up. If you need a copy of it, you can get a hold of me, and I'll send you a link to it. And we're gonna scroll down to the introduction here. Okay. So we're gonna skip to this third paragraph, right? It says the lower Tantien is also called the medicine field, as well as the elixir field, as it gathers and contains the healing power of the original chi or prenatal energy. Other names for it are the ocean of chi, the sea of energy, the cauldron, and the navel center. The use of the expression ocean and sea refer to the wave-like quality of chi. The cauldron and the navel belong to the lower Tantien. The expression cauldron refers to the function of the lower Tantien as the chief laboratory and center of internal alchemy, which transforms energy frequencies. Now, again, one of the things that kind of discouraged me and kind of got me out of my kung fu practices, right, was the fact that a lot of this kung fu has either Taoist or Confucian or Bagua Zhang or Buddhist ideology behind it. But as again, like I said, basically the way I look at it now is that it's not about what you're using, it's about how you're using it. Just like I was talking about with meditation, you know what I mean? We're supposed to meditate on the precepts of the Most High. I'll grab that right quick. Matter of fact, in Psalms 119 and 15 says, I will meditate in thy precepts and have respect unto thy ways. Okay, so I've looked into a lot of different things, but I've always all my life I've always believed in the scriptures. So, I haven't studied Buddhism and things like that, but the most important thing that I've learned about Buddha is from William Chung in his book, How to Develop Chi Power. And that was that Buddha went and taught, his name being Bodhidharma, actually, went and taught the Shaolin monks, and what he taught them was breathing techniques. And we're going to be taking a look at how breathing affects your body and your bodily energy as well from this book. Let's see here. This is chapter 1 in this book, The Power of the Inner Smile. Right? So we're going to evaluate this a little bit. It says the process of internal transformation in the universal Tao practice starts with the inner smile down to the lower brain, located in the lower abdominal area. It is a key practice for keeping chi pressure in the lower Tantian and the whole body. And it is the most effective practice for keeping all energy path routes in the body open. Although the inner smile at first sight would appear to be an easy practice, it actually represents a great challenge. It holds in all its apparent simplicity a highly concentrated way to change our whole attitude towards life and toward ourselves. Yet at the same time, it is the key to shifting and transforming our inner disposition and attitude so that we open ourselves to the ability of flowing with the stream of life. Also, it helps us not to push against the river and use force on ourselves and others. It trains us to accept ourselves and thereby others so that the transformation can come from within and not from above or outside as we raise our awareness and mindfulness. Okay, and let's see. Again, we got a scripture on that as well. Let's go to Luke 17:21. It says, neither shall they say, lo here or lo there, for behold, the kingdom of Yahuwah is within you. All right, so just as it's talking about in the Tantian practice, we're not looking for something outside of ourselves, right? We're not looking for something to happen outside. We're looking for something that's inside. We're looking to transform ourselves inwardly, right? And then let's see, Romans 12:1 it states, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Yahuwah, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto Yahuwah, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of Yahuwah. And I'm going to let y'all know something. Your mind is actually in your heart. Your heart contains 40,000 neuron brain. And I've got a presentation I'm working on about that as well to give you all the scientific research and studies on the heart. So what we're looking at is a transformation outside. And I feel like a lot of the problem is with the camps is that we're more focused on following the laws, which is basically just an outwardly transformation. It does, don't get me wrong, following the laws does have spiritual effects, but I feel like we're more focused on showing that we're following the law outwardly than working on things that are changing us inwardly, right? Otherwise, we'd be out performing these miracles and doing these things like we're supposed to be doing. Okay, continuing in this chapter, it says, the practice of the inner smile is not a shrewd trick or an easy device to forget our pain and to repress and do away with it. We need to recognize that pain will always be there as existential pain, which is there as we live and exist. We will invariably accumulate pain in the ups and downs of life. It is the very practice of the inner smile which trains us to look deeply into ourselves and transform the pain into a source of self-transformation and empowerment. We become truly invulnerable, not by ignoring the pain, but by becoming more vulnerable and getting in touch with ourselves. By so doing, we can be more sensitive to others and to the world. It is good to shed tears as we detoxify ourselves. In a patriarchal culture like ours, men are not supposed to show their tears because it shows their weakness. If we learn the inner smile, we open ourselves to our deeper self and we learn to process our pain. In this way, we may restore the energy flow so that we can laugh again and then smile as we learn to embrace ourselves, others, and the world. Yet when we cry, we lose energy. However, the inner smile is a training to sense, feel, see, and hear deeply and learn to accept and embrace what is there so that life is opened up again. By smiling into the heart of our own being, and into our whole body, we affirm the basic intrinsic goodness of existence and our gratitude for being alive. By smiling inwardly, we create the ground for self-esteem, which in turn is the root of our own sense of dignity and is essential for self-empowerment. This may be called the first process of alchemical transformation on which all the others depend. It is the beginning of a new way of being free from self-destruction. It is not based on self-confrontation and fighting ourselves, but on learning to accept ourselves as we are, with a unique blend and combination of good and negative energies. We need both of them in order to grow. Without the negative energies, there would be no impulse for the transformation process, and we cannot even raise our energy supply. The energy potential hidden in the negative energies would remain repressed and untapped. Okay, so then basically it's giving some different techniques for this inward smiling practice, right? Because you also have neurons in your stomach, right? That can act as a brain as well, right? But let's see it. Let's get some scriptures on these meditations. What do you think about that, Aratazar?
Yep. Yeah, that was beautiful. That all make complete sense. People try to show off for the world. That's the man pleasing. Not putting the Most High first. So.
Kind. And I want to say too, like I'm not trying to, like I said, I'm not trying to like lead brothers astray or tell people they should go study the Tao, or subscribe to Buddhism or what I mean, any of those things. I'm just taking little techniques that have obviously paralleled from our scriptures and flown somewhere else, and we're being basically kept blindfolded to these things. You know what I mean? Westerners, they don't have a what do you say, like a belief system in this type of stuff. You know what I mean? And we're gonna get to some videos as well, man, and show what's going on over there in the Asian countries, because I feel like they stole all this knowledge from us. You know what I'm saying? So in Genesis 24:63, it's the first instance we see about meditation. And it says, and Isaac went out to meditate in the field at the eventide, and he lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, the camels were coming. Okay, so let's see. Psalms 1 and 2. Let's go to Psalms 1 and 1. All right. It says, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of Yahuwah, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. Okay, so again, we're supposed to be meditating on the law of Yahuwah day and night, right? In Psalms 77 and 12, it says, I will meditate also of all thy work and talk of thy doings. All right, let's get Psalms 119 and 15 again. It says, I will meditate in thy precepts and have respect unto thy ways. And this is a common word that shows up in Psalms 119 in this chapter. It says, princes, Psalms 119 and 23, princes also did sit and speak against me, but thy servant did meditate in thy statutes. All right, Psalms 119 and 48, my hands also will I lift up under thy commandments, which I have loved, and I will meditate in thy statutes. Okay. Psalms 119, 78. Let the proud be ashamed, for they dealt perversely with me without a cause, but I will meditate in thy precepts. So our King David, our big brother David, he's like, man, no matter what's going on, I'm going to meditate in the precepts of the Most High. You see what I'm saying? That's what we gotta do. That's how this transformation comes into play. You know what I'm saying? Where Romans 12 and 2 says, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So how do we renew our minds? We have to be meditating on the precepts of the Most High. You see what I'm saying? And 1 Samuel 16 and 7, but Yahuwah said unto Samuel, look not on his countenance,
or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For Yahuwah seeth not as a man seeth. For man looketh on the outward appearance, but Yahuwah looketh on the heart. So we should be changing our hearts and focusing on the inside of ourselves, where the kingdom is, where the kingdom's supposed to be, and changing that. Because that's where he's looking. He's not looking at what kind of clothes people rocking, what kind of jewelry you got, what kind of cars you driving. He's looking at the thoughts of your heart.
Yeah, you gotta turn your stony heart to a heart of flesh, man.
Con. I'm gonna get to let's go look at some of these videos, man. And this is can come as a shock to some people, man. But you know, I can attest to it, to the you know, to the reality of chi. You know, and I can also say that people that don't believe that, you know, that I've actually shown, and they believe it at that time, but then they're not a people of faith. So, you know, eventually years down the line, they'll like try to make up something else and say that it was something else. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like my rib, for example, she'll try to say, oh, I feel like it was just heat, right? The heat is energy, and at the time you said you felt it. You know what I'm saying? At the time you said it was something you never felt before, and you also said you could perceive colors and things like that. So, and it's been, you know, there's multiple people that I've actually exposed this to, for me personally, and from my training. Well, I said, like, you know, I've kind of steered away from that because of Christian belief and ideology, right? So we're gonna let's just look at this one right here and see some of the things these guys can do, and I'll just kind of explain it because I don't have my HDMI cord hooked up right now. I'm just gonna leave it on mute. Let's see. Oh man, they're gonna give me a crummy commercial.
Shalom to the
Yeah.
Akim, Daba,
Oh yeah,
Madan,
yeah, shalom.
Madan, and
Power,
Abaya.
brother.
Bye.
Yeah, how
Yeah,
about?
Yahweh power, most definitely.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? Bless be everybody. Killing
Shalom,
them on
Baruch
that.
Atam, Tanakh.
If I may ask, what is this particular hangout about?
Talking about basically parallels between the Kung Fu theory and ideologies in the Bible and the scriptures. Let's see here. Now we have here is the Shaolin monks, right? And they practice Qigong, which I was going over with in that book. That book has basic steps, right? Right here it's showing you the flow of energy from that Dantian, or that sea of Qi, okay? And it's showing that flow up and through the arms, right? Okay, and this is gonna, you're gonna see this cat here, right? He focuses the Qi into the needle and can throw it through a piece of glass, which seems unreal to most people, right? But he does it like it's effortless, like it's something normal to him. This particular style of qigong that they practice is called iron shirt qigong, right? Where normally people with bodies, you know, like you see the normal Chinese man, his body don't look very big or strong or nothing like that, but it's the chi that protects you. See what I'm saying? When you break a brick, when you know, anytime you break something, that chi wraps a glove around your hand, around your arm, and protects you. And you can see they can even balance on spearheads, and even you know, they can push sharp objects into themselves, like those two spears right there. You see where they're in his neck. That's the softest tissue in your body right there, but it doesn't affect him. Why? Because that chi is protecting him. The chi is constantly the healing force in your body, and it can also be used to heal others as well. In traditional Chinese medicine, which can be found in the Huangdi Neijing, which is the oldest book ever written on medicine. Again, I want to say shalom to the panel. We've been basically going over a book that I was looking at. Let me show y'all real quick. This book right here, since y'all just now got in, it's called Tantien Qigong, Empty Force, Preventing Power, and the Second Brain. And basically what I've been explaining is the Tantien is the sea of Qi, right? It's in the stomach area. Let's get back to this right quick. Let's show y'all some more stuff in here about Qi and about breathing. Let's get to the let's read about this section right here. Is called the lower Tantien is the second brain, right? It says recent advanced research confirms the ancient Taoist insight gained over a long period of inner observation that the lower Tantien is a key source of intelligence. It actually supplies the brain with basic orientations, data, and information, which it can then process. It turns out to be full of neurotransmitters. This is why I like to compare the brain to the hardware of the computer and the organs to the software. The organs feed the brain with information, and it depends on the quality of the organs and what is transmitted to the brain, what is processed. So the quality of the organs and the way they are activated by the brain affects the outcome. For this reason, the lower Tantien is also called the second brain by Taoists. It may well be called the first brain by the way it processes and balances the emotions, which in turn determine the nature and quality of the intellectual process. Growing imbalance and disconnection between body and mind, thinking and feeling, and the various forms of cognition and intelligence appear to be a central feature of the prevailing global culture. It is not surprising that violence and conflict, all domains of life, have become chronic and widespread. Okay, and then when we go down to here, Tantien, Qigong, and natural breathing. Okay, and this is the model that they have for your lower Tantien, your upper Tantien in your brain, right? Again, this is the sea of Qi, right? So we're gonna this is those breathing techniques that I was talking about that Bodhidharma, aka Buddha, brought over to the Shaolin monks, right? It says the natural form of breathing is iron shirt abdominal breathing. This is the principal measure by which to evaluate the body state of health and capacity for self-healing. To the extent that we practice abdominal breathing, we have retained the ways we used to breathe as a baby and child. When in the course of life, natural low, deep, and long and quiet abdominal breathing is replaced by high, short, and shallow breathing in the chest, we lose our inner stability. We have lost a major source of vitality and self-healing, as our breathing requires more energy than it generates. Through the loss of internal pressure, we also lose our inner power. As the balance between our inward pressure outwardly and the outward pressure inwardly has been lost, we can only regain our vitality by recreating the internal power so that the two powers are once again in a dynamic reciprocal state of interplay. This is the inner meaning of Qigong, to restore the inner power by learning to breathe naturally again. The cultivation of this natural form of breathing, which reproduces the process of prenatal embryonic breathing, is essential to the Tantien Qigong. It is through this form of breathing that we recover our original Qi and thereby our internal pressure. Through this form of breathing, the amount of energy needed for external breathing and the intake of oxygen are reduced. Precisely because of this, the lungs can then take in more oxygen. At the same time, the capacity of the whole body and all its cells, as well as the capacity of the lungs to store oxygen, is enhanced. Thus, with less energy, breathing has improved both qualitatively and quantitatively. Okay, and then let's see. I'm gonna pull a scripture on. Let's go to Genesis, right? Go to Genesis chapter 2. And let's get. All right, let's go back. Okay, right here, Genesis 2:7. Okay, it says, in Yahuwah Elohim formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Okay, so when he breathed into his nostrils, right, the breath of life, he breathed into him the Ruach, okay, his spirit, right? So your breath is, when you breathe, you're breathing in the Ruach, right? So let's see. Akian, well, I want to hear y'all's thoughts on this so far as well, man. Give y'all some time to speak.
Hey, yeah, I definitely ride with that, yo, without a doubt.
Okay, it says living waters flow through the belly, and then in other passages it says the greedy continually feed their belly. So what are they feeding their belly? Improper diets. You see, so that's something. You know what I mean?
Khan, Abaya, what are your thoughts so far, man? What we dealing with?
I'm kind of coming in late, so that's why I be quiet. But you're saying that the form of kung fu and the powers that come from that form have a relevancy or origin in the scriptures?
Khan, yeah, most definitely. Basically what I'm trying to figure out is that I feel like this is something that was, because it's something that when it comes to energy, it's something that is well understood by Eastern cultures, right? And the Bible comes from Eastern culture as well. You see what I'm saying? So when I look at it, I started to see a lot of parallels between my knowledge of martial arts and the scriptures. You see what I'm saying? But I feel like it all depends on how you're using it and where you're drawing your power from. And we know that we get our power from Yahuwah Ba'ashem, Yahuwah Shai. Now I want to show y'all something else that's interesting here about the scriptures. Let's get in Leviticus. Let's start at Genesis 9:4. We see, but flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. Okay. Leviticus 17:14. For it is the life of all flesh, the blood of it is for the life thereof. Therefore I said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not eat the blood of no manner of flesh, for the life of all flesh is the blood thereof. Whosoever eateth it shall be cut off. Okay. Deuteronomy 12:23. Only be sure that thou eat not the blood, for the blood is the life, and thou mayest not eat the life with the flesh. Okay, so we see that, you know, our blood or our life is contained in our blood. Okay, and when you when you study the Tantien, when you study Qigong, you'll start to have a concept of this and understand that what keeps us alive is our chi, right? That's why when it comes to these prenatal breathing techniques, like it was talking about, that's why it's so important, right? But like I said, I'm gonna try to keep this kind of short today, and we'll go over that on the next episode. But when you start, like, say when you work out, right, and your energy starts to rise, or your blood gets to pumping, you know what I mean? You're working out those muscle groups. Sometimes if you look at your hands, you'll notice that they'll be kind of blotchy, right? That's because your palms and the palms of your hands and the soles of your feet are like the easiest places for energy to escape. You see, so when your hands are getting real blotchy, that's a good indication that your chi is flowing real well, right? And when you let's say like when we deal with emotions and we get angry and we start to feel our body heat up. What is heat? It's energy. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like these are natural forces that were put in place. Now, when it comes to meditation, I've always been a firm believer that you should let your mind run free. People hear meditation and think that you are supposed to empty out your mind and all this other stuff. But I've always believed that when you empty out your mind, you let room for wickedness to come in, demonic possession and things of that nature. And I've also heard John Todd, who supposedly was part of the Council of 13 in the Illuminati, who stepped down and became a whistleblower. He said the same thing with the initiation of witches. When they learn, as he said, that they learn as kids to meditate and empty out their minds, and those demons they start to fill them up like a chalice, and they become a more powerful witch. The more demons they have, the more powerful they become. But in Qigong, the focus is not to empty out your mind. It's to let your mind run free and to focus inside yourself. You see what I'm saying? When it comes to meditating on the scriptures, when it comes to the Most High's word, we're supposed to meditate in his law. Right? We're supposed to meditate on the things of the law. Let's see it.
So do you think that this form of kung fu is a way to get to understand how Christ healed people, or is it a watered down version of the method in which power was given by God through Christ?
I feel like it's a way to restore our bodies in order to reach that state, as well as, I guess you could say, yes, it would be watered down compared to, we're not. I don't feel like we're really privy to the original culture of how we meditated and did things of that nature in the ancient Hebrew. But I do feel like these things were paralleled from whatever we were doing and were taught by us, as well as I feel like the things that they had that inhibited them in the past, right? Or the things we have that inhibit us now, I call them spiritual inhibitors, such as the food we eat, stuff we watch on TV, things we see on the internet, having jobs, things we do in our daily lives, and the stress of our lives is way different. The water we drink. I feel like they didn't have all those things back then that were basically like spiritual inhibitors. So they were already a step ahead of us just based off of that. You know what I'm saying?
Another thing, water was more pure back then, and foods were more pure back then. So water had heavy metals in it just flowing on top of the lake streams and things of that nature. You see what I'm saying? So these things will be in people's digestive tract. So it's in their belly, for example. You see what I'm saying?
I'm gonna show y'all this one other video as well from a Qigong master. Now another thing I feel like too is that there are powers that are beneficial and powers that are superficial. And I feel like the power we're supposed to have from the Most High is only going to be beneficial. It's only going to be beneficial to everyone, right? Now Qigong, I learned a lot about healing through Qi as well as acupuncture, right? So, what I'm about to show you though, this guy right here, he basically is giving an example of his power in Qigong. So we're going to see. I'm just going to skip through. He shows them how, he does acupuncture and a lot of the healing and stuff like that. But we're going to see right here. Let me see what y'all think about this. I said this can be kind of hard to believe or take in for most people. But this man in particular, he doesn't let them record him anymore and things like that. Okay, so no matches, no lighters, no lighter fluid. Sets the paper on fire with his hand. Okay, they did various tests on him, trying to test him with a voltmeter and things of that nature to try to figure out what was going on, how he was doing what he was doing. But Qi is not actually something that can be measured.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
Remember the story of Moses when he went before Pharaoh and Janus and Jambres had power, and Moses threw his staff down because the Most High gave him power? How do we know that the things that these people are able to do aren't coming through Satan?
Yeah, that all goes back to basically like what I was saying earlier is that we got to focus on what we're doing and how we're using it. You see what I'm saying? Like what I just showed you right there, that was an example of something that was him being able to do that was more so superficial, because if that's, if you can set something on fire, that's not bringing anybody to a Mashiach. People are just going to want to know how the hell you did that. You feel what I'm saying? Also, when you focus on, like I was talking about, when it comes to meditation, we're supposed to meditate on the scriptures. You feel what I mean?
So I was thinking, the diagram where they showed your second brain in your stomach and your first brain in your head. Maybe we should think about it like our first brain is the Most High, and our second brain is our brain.
I want to add to that power situation. All power comes from the Most High. So when these guys ignore the Most High and tap into the power that Satan has, it should only be used for destruction and stealing and killing and destroying and stuff like that. So now, when you tap into the power of Most High and be faithful and just wait and be patient until you are trusted enough, you know what I'm saying? Because whenever you get power from Satan, it's because you have dedicated yourself to that what Satan wants done. You see what I'm saying? So when you dedicate yourself to what the Heavenly Father wants done, and you can finally be trusted with that type of power, and you won't use it for destruction. So improper. unjust destruction, then that can happen. Especially, but what I think what KOJ is saying, that you have to develop that power.
Yeah, like I feel like a lot of us are just having faith in that something's gonna happen, or that the Most High is going to one day give us all these powers, and we haven't done nothing to show Him any kind of devotion or to work towards it, or even have a concept or idea of what exactly is taking place when Hamashiach is healing somebody. You know what I mean? Like, let's get matter of fact, let me get a scripture right quick.
It's verification of the gospel. The whole purpose of the Father giving Yahushua power to heal was for verification of the teachings that he received from the Father. It was, he says in Isaiah 8, he says, I and the children whom Yahweh have given me are for signs and for wonders. So the first aspect of power is it's only going to be given to the apostles. That's concrete in the scriptures.
Hey, Bob, you got a lot of noise in the background. You got a lot of noise in the background.
No, I'm in the house, but I got a TV in the back. Yeah, let me my
sound like you moving a whole lot or something.
Yeah.
But
KOJ is basically saying, what is happening, what is the process, what is happening when Hamashiach is healing and resurrected. You know what I mean? What can we observe that he is doing so that we can duplicate his efforts? You know what I mean? Because the apostles duplicated his efforts, by his teaching. So now the canon tells us to simply have faith without wavering for 1 second. Now, if that is the actual process, then there should be many healings and resurrections, which from my research, that does happen. But we are exploring that now.
Oh, it was the Father that did the miracles. It wasn't Christ or the apostles.
That's absolutely right. The Father utilizes humans to do that. You know what I mean? So if it's a unfaithful, disobedient, and unbelieving human, then the Father does not allow his power to flow through that person to give it to the sick.
Yeah, I want to read the scripture right quick too, because I know we gotta wrap things up and get over to claim your inheritance. The bar already gave a plug and everything like that. Like I said, I don't know if you've seen the flyer, but again, this is KOJ on YouTube, the Club of New Jerusalem, claim your inheritance. I'm going to read this scripture right quick too to go along with what you were saying. In Luke 8:45 it says, and Yahushua said, who touched me? When all denied, Peter and they that were with him said, Master, the multitude thronged thee and pressed thee, and sayest thou, who touched me? And Yahushua said, somebody had touched me, for I perceive that virtue is gone out of me. And when the woman saw that she was not hid, she came trembling, and falling down before him, she declared unto him before all the people for what cause she had touched him, and how she was healed immediately. And he said unto her, Daughter, be of good comfort, thy faith hath made thee whole, go in peace. Now in Luke 8:46 it says, somebody had touched me, for I perceive that virtue is gone out of me. Okay, that's energy. That's a type of healing energy that was released. Okay, and the same thing goes with these practices. The same thing goes with anything, any type of spiritual practice, whether it be righteous or it be wicked. It doesn't work without faith.
What's that?
Say again?
What's that Greek word, virtue?
Let me look at it real quick. It occurs,
if I may also say, it what can be done
it sounds like you're doing a whole lot of moving or something.
Sounds like his phone is on fire.
Can you hear? Am I clear? What's that bill?
Yeah, you got a bunch of static.
What's that again?
But right here it's dynamis is the word for virtue. Is strength, power, ability, inherent power, power residing in a thing by virtue of its nature, or which a person or thing exerts and puts forth. Power for performing miracles, moral power and excellence of soul, the power and influence which belongs to riches and wealth, power and resources arising from numbers, power consisting in or resting upon armies, forces, hosts. Okay, so it's an inherent power. It's something that comes from inside. So I'm saying, but I want to thank
Okay,
y'all for
there's a satanic magician named Dynamo. Okay, so you said the word is dynamis.
Khan.
So I just want to leave that there too. I see you about to close out there.
Yeah, and that dude, he's the real deal, man. He's really working with demons, man. When I seen this stuff, I instantly recognized it. You know what I mean? A lot of those guys like Chris Angel and David Blaine, them guys are real fake. But that dude Dynamo, he's got some powerful demons with him. He's the real deal.
I wanted to leave this definition on your channel. You know what I'm saying? Dynamo, a machine for converting mechanical energy into electrical energy. A generator.
Khan.
An extremely energetic person. So this is, this is the virtue that came out of Mashiach.
Khan.
Electrical energy.
But hey, man, I want to go ahead and wrap this up, man, because we gotta hop on to your channel. We got Aratazah's Royal Remnants about to start. If you could please post a link so I can get in there and listen in as well. I'm about to go do some cooking and stuff like that before I join y'all. And again, this is KOJ on YouTube. Amazai Yahweh on Facebook. And we got Aratazah in the bar with us. Claim your inheritance. I want to thank my people, Madon Kemet and Abaya as well for joining us. Aratazah, you want to go ahead and give an outro right quick?
Yeah, Con. That was very edifying. I like that a lot. And Lord willing, you be able to give a lot more.
Hard to hear you a little bit.
Oh, my fault. Yeah, I was just saying, Lord willing, you be able to bring out some more next time, get deeper. And we get to the mysteries of the Lord,
Con, most definitely. I want to say all praise to Yahuwah Ba'Shem, Yahuwah Shai, and the Yukatam to the Akyam, Yasharala, and Shalom.